So topic 5 is going to focus on multiplying two fractions. Okay. So when it comes to fractions, generally speaking, people say just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then simplify. And that is not untrue. Okay. So you simplify the results like we did in the previous video. But a lot of times, if you simplify as you go, it's a little bit easier. So as far as steps to multiply fractions, yes, you multiply the numerators and denominators, you simplify the result. Symbolically, we have if there's A over B times C over D, it equals A times C over B times D. Again, that just shows that you multiply the numerators and denominators. This is all assuming B and D are not zero. Denominators cannot be zero. If a denominator is zero, that fraction is what we call undefined, which it means you just can't really work with it. Down here, this last bulleted item, I say it can be very helpful to divide out common factors, top versus bottom, before multiplying across. And that's generally what I will do. So when we're working with these examples, I'll show it where we kind of divide factors out as we go. It just makes life a lot easier. Okay. So the first example here, it says, for example 9, find each product. Answers need to be written in simplest form or lowest terms. We just need to make sure our answer is reduced. So we have three fractions. We have 4 over 27 times 3 over 16 times 4 over 5. So technically what we're dealing with is 4 times 3 times 4 over 27 times 16 times 5. But it can be a lot easier to simplify as you go because just looking at that denominator, if we took 27 times 16 times 5, we get 2,160. It is really hard to reduce a fraction where one of the two numbers is 2,160. So look to see if there are things that you can simplify first. For example, I'm going to leave my numerator as it is. I'm going to leave it as 4 times 3 times 4. But for my denominator, I'm going to rewrite 27 and 16. I'm going to write 27 as 3 times 9, and I'm going to write 16 as 4 times 4. And then I'm just going to leave the 5 alone. Now, if I look at it this way, we can see really clearly that stuff is going to cancel. I notice that I have a 4 in the top and the bottom. So 4 divided by 4, it just leaves behind a 1. I notice I have a 3 in the top and the bottom. So 3 divided by 3 just leaves behind ones. And then I notice another 4 in the numerator and denominator. So 4 divided by 4 is just 1. So what we want to do is we want to circle all of the non-1 factors. So that leaves a 9 and a 5 in the denominator. The numerator is just 1 times 1 times 1. The denominator is 1 times 9 times 1 times 1 times 5. So ultimately just 9 times 5, which is 45. Now again, if we had not simplified as we had gone along, we would have had, let's see, we would have had 48 over 2,160, and that's a lot harder to simplify. So I think it's just easier if you simplify as you go. Okay? Now, when you're dealing with mixed numbers, so to multiply mixed numbers, you must convert to improper fractions. So a common mistake that students make is they'll try to multiply the whole number parts and then they'll try to multiply the fraction parts, and that just doesn't work. You can't do it that way. You have to convert to improper fractions for these rules to work. So remember, to convert to an improper fraction, you take the denominator times the whole number, add the numerator, and then just keep the original denominator. Okay? So for this first fraction, I'm going to take 3 times 5 plus 1 over 5. For the second fraction, I'm going to take 4 times 2 plus 3 over 4. We're going to simplify those to make sure we get our improper fraction. So let's see, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 1 is 16, so I get 16 over 5. And then for the second fraction, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11 over 4. So remember, technically we multiply our numerators and then we multiply our denominators. And we want to look for factors that are common top to bottom. Okay, so in my numerator, I kind of want to work with that 16. I want to rewrite 16 as 4 times 4. So I'm just looking for a new way, a factorization of 16, if you will. So 4 times 4 works. My denominator is 5 times 4. And now I can see I've got a 4 in the top and in the bottom. I can cancel that out or divide it out. So 4 divided by 4 just leaves little ones behind. So that leaves 4 times 11, or 44 in my numerator. 5 times 1, or just 5 in my denominator. And then here's the thing. 44 fifths is a perfectly fine answer. However, if you started with mixed numbers, it is very common to end with mixed numbers. So we want to go ahead and find the mixed number equivalent to 44 fifths. So the way we do that is we take 44, we divide it by 5. I know that 5 times 9 is 45. That's too big. 5 times 8 is 40. So we're going to say that 5 goes into 44 8 times. 5 times 8 is 40. I subtract the 40. I'm left with 4. And remember, the numerator is the whole number, the remainder is the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So we would say that 3 1/5 times 2 3/4 is 8 4/5. Remember, when you're multiplying mixed numbers, you have to convert them to improper fractions first. All right, so make sure you've practiced your multiplying. I think it's definitely easier if you simplify out factors first. It's going to make it a lot easier in the long run.